Hi, welcome back to Educator.com. Today we're going to continue moving with critical reading, and now we're going to talk about passage-based reading, the second subsection of the critical reading section for the SAT. Legal disclaimer, test names are the registered trademarks of the respective owners. Said owners are not affiliated with Educator.com. The College Board was not involved in the production of and does not endorse this course. The passage-based reading subsection of the critical reading section is going to test pretty much exactly what you'd expect it to test. It's going to test your ability to read a passage of text and then answer questions about that passage of text. Generally, they're going to have a few passages of varying length. The very last one normally just has one passage, but you'll get a sense for what it's like as you do more practice tests on your own and you do practice sections. But generally it has passages of varying length, and then each passage is going to be followed by some number of questions depending on the length of the passage. The longer the passage, the more questions it has. First, for this lesson, we're going to talk a little bit more about the building blocks that make up passage-based reading, just what you'll be seeing. Then we're going to dive into a huge variety of strategies and tactics that will give you an edge on taking this part of the SAT. The passage you'll read come in two different types, short and long. No big surprise there. Each short passage is going to be around 10 to 15 lines in length, and that's about 100 words, give or take. It's about the length of a single paragraph that you're used to. It might be two paragraphs, but then it'll be shorter paragraphs. A long passage, on the other hand, has a lot more variance. It can be anywhere from 50 to 100 lines, and it's something like 450 to 900 words at the largest. It's going to be between 3 and 6 paragraphs in length, give or take. Don't get worried about this. It seems like 900, oh my gosh, 900, that's such a big number. But really, I mean, 6 paragraphs, 900 words, that's actually about like 2 pages in a novel that you'd read in school. It's not a lot of text. So at first it seems like it's really long, but honestly, it's nothing that you haven't done time and time before. It's going to be pretty easy to actually get through that much text, so don't let that worry you. Finally, we've got a variant on the short and the long passage. It's this thing called the double passage. So what the double passage does is it takes either a pair of short passages or a pair of long passages. And whatever that pair is, it's going to be on the same subject. So they'll both be talking about, say, trouts and how trouts, go home, or I guess trouts don't do that. That's salmon. I don't know much about trouts, but you get the idea. They're going to both be talking about trouts, whether they're both two short passages talking about trout, or they're two long passages talking about trout. So don't worry, if it's a double long passage, they're not going to be two really long passages. They're going to be on the shorter side, so they'll definitely be below average if they're pairing two long passages. And we'll talk a little bit more about what a double passage means and how that's going to change the questions and some specific ideas for approaching those down the road. The italics. There are italics before every section. So there's always going to be the writing over here, there's going to be the passage, but at the top of it is some little piece in italics. Read that part in italics. Why should you read that? The part in italics gives you a brief description of what you're about to see in the text. So that helps you prepare for the passage. By having some idea of what you're about to read, it's that much easier to understand what you read once you actually start reading it. Not only that, but there are occasionally, like once in a long while, there's questions that cannot be answered without the information from the italics. They're really rare, but if you don't read the italics, you won't be able to do those, so it's just one more reason that you should read the italics. It's a useful thing, and it gets you ready for reading the text you're about to read. All right, reading skills, no surprise here, they matter. Since you're on the passage-based reading section, it's absolutely no surprise that your ability to read is going to have a reasonable impact on your ability to answer these questions, right? The easier it is for you to read, the easier it is for you to make it through the section, the more the passage is going to make sense, and the less difficult the questions will be. So, what do you do if you're not very good at reading, or you find the passages in the SAT really difficult for you to read through? Well, don't worry. First, the entire next lesson is going to be about reading strategies. So there's going to be a lot of reading strategies that we'll talk that will help you specifically tackle the actual task of reading the passage as opposed to answering the questions in it. So check out the next lesson if you have difficulty with that. And even if you don't have difficulty with it, it might teach you some useful things. So it's pretty a good idea to watch. But as always, as I keep saying, the best way to improve your reading skills in general is to practice reading. So go read a book, read a magazine, read a newspaper, read something that isn't simply what's assigned to you at school, and go get reading. And if you find reading to be really, really difficult, like more than just the SAT, but everything you read is really, really hard, like it's hard to even follow along like the notes I've got on this page. Like if you think reading the notes I've got for this slide are hard to understand, and the only reason you can understand what's going on is because of what I'm saying, you might want to go and work on reading comprehension at an even deeper level than just preparing for the SAT. There's some more lessons on the Educator.com website that you can go check out and learn more about reading comprehension, and just really get out there and start reading things that are at your reading level so you can start improving that. Because the reading comprehension is really important, and it's really important for college, so it's a skill that you definitely want to have under your belt. So if you find reading things really, really difficult, that's something you want to look into, and it's something you really want to work on in a variety of different ways.